Oh, hey guys, what's up? Today is gonna be a little bit of a heavier episode, so apologies in advance. Because I wanted to talk about something that I feel like it's kind of okay in the age of the internet. A lot of people tend to overblow things more than they should. But then on the other side of the token is that people don't take as serious the things that should be taken more serious about. We should really pay attention to this one thing, but not downplay it either. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the internet is a stomping ground for where you take one issue, like a particular issue, and you get two sides. It's a strong, hard down the middle, like hard line, just like straight down the middle, where it's like, where you have like you either downplay it or you overblow it more than it should be, rather than where it should be actually seen as. What I specifically want to talk about, because it's been something that I've dealt with personally, and it's the subject, I would say, not, and I'll get into it a little bit more. It's the subject of depression. Yes, depression. I can say it. It's fine. It's not a bad word. But I feel like when it comes to depression, especially, people on the internet or people just in general, they're either way over dramatic and say like, "Oh, I'm depressed because," or "I'm going through a depression because such and such and such and such." So like, "Oh, I'm like somebody broke up with me. I'm in a depression." Where it's like, no, that's not really what that means. Or you have the people that like say like, "Oh, depression's is a myth. It doesn't really exist. That just means that you're sad and that you just need to do something that makes you happy. Then you'll get over it." It's not what it means. It's actually more nuanced than I think either sides make it out to be. And I feel like, and I'm not talking about clinical depression. Like, I'm just talking about like feelings of sadness, feelings of loneliness, feelings of just like down and out, where you feel like unmotivated and just like don't want to do anything. But like, you have your ups and down days where it's like one day you're really great and then the other day you're just not doing so good. And it could be situational, it could be seasonal, it could be just the way you are, just the way you feel. Like, it could be anything. And I feel like, once again, like when it comes to like clinical depression, like a doctor looked at you and said like, "You are clinically depressed. There's something, going on in your brain and your emotions that is affecting your day-to-day life." Like, that is something else that I'm not even qualified to touch on. So I'm not going to, but I am going to go into the more detail of like where it's more of the feeling side of things, where it's like, once again, like where you feel like, wow, I feel depressed. And obviously, once again, like, I may sound like I'm on the side where it's like, "Well, you're overblowing it, Alex." And I was like, well, no, I don't want to make it seem like I'm overblowing it. But I mean, there are some days where like I feel like a lot of people feel like they're just down and out. They feel sadness, and maybe depression is not the right word for it. I would say I would probably just say it's like you just feel sad, you feel lonely, you feel depressed in a way. And it may not be depression in the clinical sense, but it could be just like, I'm just having a rough go of things. I'm just having a tough time. And the whole purpose of this video is just to talk about that, because I want to talk about it. I want to be able to talk about things, because this year in particular has been one of the toughest years of my life, and it's easy to succumb to loneliness, to succumb to depression, to succumb to feelings of sadness, and like feel like no one gets you, or no one is there for you, even though it's all a lie. It's just more like sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to acknowledge that like that you're feeling sad, and it's a battle. It's a fight, and the thing is like, what I would encourage those who are struggling with this is to get help. Like, seek a therapist, talk to somebody. If a doctor says that you're not clinically depressed, but you still feel like sad and whatever, then yeah, go find ways, where you can talk to somebody about it. Remind yourself of people that are there for you, and also, do what you love at the same time. And sometimes that can even be even more of a challenge. Like, I can't even do what I love. But it's a battle. It's a battle to fight sadness. Is one of the toughest things that you have to go through, and especially personally in my life, where this is one of the hardest years of my life. It's been a challenge to try to like find the joy back in things, and the thing is, like, I'm a jokester. I crack jokes a lot, so I'm always there trying to make sure that I see other people have a smile on their face, but then like I am myself having trouble smiling myself, and it's difficult. It's a difficult process, a difficult thing, and that's when I can just say like, hey, look, I gotta go to my friends, I gotta talk to them, like have to like, hey, pray for me, be there for me, because I can't for the life of me feel like anything is worth it right now. And I'm not saying like if you are clinically depressed and you actually have thoughts of suicide and whatnot, what I would say to you is to seek help immediately. Talk to somebody, talk to an honest person, because if you're talking to somebody who's just going to enable you more, you're not going to get the help you need. You need somebody that's going to tell you like it is. Somebody's going to say like, hey, look, you're feeling this way because such and such and such, and you have to own it. And that's the thing, like that's the whole point of like dealing with any mental illness or whatever, or like feelings of sadness or feelings of loneliness or anything like that, is that you have to confront it. Like and the thing is, that's the hardest thing to do, is to confront what is ailing you. Like sometimes you have to turn around and be like, hey, this is bothering me, and you have to call it out. You have to acknowledge for what it is, especially when it comes to the feelings of depression, feelings of loneliness, feelings of sadness. You have to go back like, hey, I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling sad, and you have to tell that to yourself before you can bring it to somebody else, because honestly, like everybody can tell you all the right things until they're blue in their face, but if you don't believe it yourself because you're refusing to go there, they're not gonna help you get there. You have to get there yourself. And I know I'm not saying do this alone, because there are people that need to be there and call it out of you, but once again, it has to be honest people, and in terms of like happiness and joy, I want the channel to be a very joyous channel, but at the same time, I also want it to be a very real channel. Like, I don't want it to be something that you just skirt by. Like, I talked about bullying in one of my last videos, because it's a very serious topic. And as far as like joy and happiness, to be honest, that's something you have to work for, something you have to fight for. Like the distinguishing the difference between joy and happiness is that happiness is temporal. You're not always gonna feel happy, but here's good news. That's okay. That's life. You're not always going to feel happy. There are things that are going to happen to you that you're going to be like, this sucks. This is crappy. This is a crappy situation. I don't feel good at all right now, but that's okay, as long as you're able to acknowledge it. Because if you don't acknowledge it and try to bury it down, it's just going to come out uglier than it was. The distinguishing part with happiness, which is temporal, there's joy. Joy is something completely different. And once again, I'm speaking as a Christian. Joy is something that only Christ can give you. And the thing is, even if you don't feel joy, like sometimes you don't feel like, because joy, like it isn't like something like it's external, it's internal. It's something like, hey, it kind of like gives you the purpose for living. And when Christ said like, I'll give you my joy, it's not like the joy of life, it's joy of himself. And that's a little bit more, personal. It's a little bit more fulfilling and more satisfactory, rather than it just being an empty, hollow, like, oh, I just feel good today. Because chances are some days you won't feel good, and chances are you may not feel good even though you have joy. And all I can say is hold on to the joy, and hold on to the memories of happiness. Like, obviously that is important just as much. Like, happiness, don't discount your happiness. Like, count it, like memorize it, ingrain it, because those are the moments that are going to fuel the joy even more, or that are going to remind you of the joy that you have. And if you don't have it, talk to me, message me. Socials are in the link below, and I can tell you how that can happen. And the thing is, like, once again, I'm not a professional by any means. I'm just somebody that is coming out who's experienced hard times, hardship, and everything that, like, I swear there's some days where I'm just like, I'm a guinea pig for Murphy's Law. It's like anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And there's been days, weeks, months where it's like everything that can possibly go wrong went wrong, and you're just like, what the heck is going on? And that's all I'm talking on. I'm talking from somebody who's experienced like those feelings of sadness, those feelings of depression, those feelings where you feel like you just don't go on. Like there's been times where I've just been laying in my bed and I don't feel like giving up. And that's hard, and it's a tough feeling to feel because you feel like you're not at a point where you're productive anymore, and you feel like you're a failure sometimes, and you also feel like you can't like contribute anything. Like, what's the point at this point, right? But it's the joy that I'm reminded of, right? And the thing is, like, I hold on to the memories that kind of help me remind me of that. Like, man, I feel like no one likes me. Lies. And the thing is, most of the time, it is lies. Most of the times, it's just your internal whatever saying, just telling you, feeding you lies, even though they're not lies at all, right? Like, there's times where I'll be like, man, I feel like no one likes me, not even my friends. But it's like, no. I have plenty of people who have come around me in times of hardship that show their support and show like, hey, look, we are your true friends, right? So in the end, all I can say is you're not alone in this. No, you will not. You're just be a fighter. And the thing is, you have to fight for your happiness, and you have to push through. You have to push through the days where it's hard to get through, just so you can get to the days where it's worth it, and you're like, wow, this is awesome, right? And there's people out there that love you, that care for you, and that really want you to be around and stick around. And in the moments when you're just don't want to be around anybody, that's in the moments where you need them the most. And once again, they will remind you of the joy. And I'm speaking as from a Christian. If you are a Christian and believes that, then just hold on to that. And but at the same time, it's not easy, and I know it's not easy, and so that's why we need each other. And I hope and pray that many of you may take this just like, hey, as just something like not as like full on advice. Like, of course, there are way better qualified people that know more than I do, but I'm just speaking as somebody who's experienced really hard times, really hard depression, really sadness. And once again, for those of you who may seem like it's just like feelings and downplaying it, it's not. It's way more. Acknowledge it. Point out like, hey, look, you are depressed. You are feeling sad. Let's try to work this out in a way that makes you not just feel better, but actually be better, right? To actually experience healing in the midst of it, and it could be, it's a process. It's not overnight. It's going to take a long time for that to happen. For those that are that elevated to a higher standard. And when I say those that elevated to a higher standard, what I'm saying, okay, like if you just broke up with somebody, you're just having a bad day, and it's only one day, and you say like, oh, I feel depressed, or I'm in a depression, that is not really what that is, because a bad day is a bad day. It happens to all of us. Even the ones that like deal with sadness, loneliness, depression, we can acknowledge like we just have bad days, right? It's much more than just having one bad day. It's waking up to a bad day. It's waking up to feel like it's going to be a bad day. It's waking up and not even wanting to get up because the way I'm feeling is affecting everything that I'm doing, therefore making it a bad day. It's not just like, oh, I just had a bad day. Like, no, it's much more than that. So once again, like, let's just come together and just like acknowledge what we feel. Don't downplay it. Don't escalate it too high. Bring it to where it is and call it for what it is, and then deal with it, heal from it. And that's the only way we can actually grow as people. And like, can we all agree to that? Can we all agree to help each other grow as people and not try to trivialize things that are actually very serious? That's all I have for today. Like I said, it was going to be a little bit of a heavy video, but so yeah, just let me know if you want to talk about this even more. Feel free. If what I said just didn't sit right or didn't make you feel any better or whatever, let me know and I'll try to amend my statements or something like that. I'm here for you. I'm here for everybody. I'm not here to step on anybody's toes. I'm not here to discount or unacknowledge whatever is going on. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy just trying to talk to a camera and just give you guys some something to chew on. And yeah, so new videos coming up always. You already know this. Like, comment, subscribe. Socials are in the description below. Follow me, message me, ask me what's going on, and hey, we'll we'll have a talk, we'll have a chat, and I'm more than willing to talk. So it's, it's something we can do. But yeah, that is all I have for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.